Hi, I'm Dory Vandell. I am a wardrobe coach and an instructor. I teach the job interview attire section of several back to work programs. This video is being made for PIDP 3230, the Informal Classroom Assessment Technique assignment for Jeff May. It's likely that most of you or some of you who are watching this video can recall a time during your education when a concept, an idea, or a topic was absolutely as clear as mud for you. Today we're going to talk briefly on this video about the Muddiest Point, a classroom assessment technique developed by statistician Professor Frederick Mosteller. The content of this video is the Muddiest Point step by step, the context of when it's best used, limitations, advantages, the best practices involved, and how to provide student feedback. Firstly, what is the Muddiest Point? Well, it's considered one of the simplest classroom assessment techniques. It is, according to Angelo and Cross, the simplest and efficient, giving high information for low investment. It discloses what students find unclear or confusing about the course, lesson, or presentation, and instructors, when once gathered that information, can use it to revisit, discuss the topics that are unclear. The step-by-step procedure is as follows. Firstly, you need to know what it is exactly you want to know. What kind of feedback would you like? Do you want it to be on a class? Do you want it to be on the entire course, a presentation, a lecture, a reading assignment? That's what you need to establish first. You also need to reserve enough time during your class to set aside for students to answer the question that you will pose. Also giving them an idea what the time frame is that you've given them to answer the question you pose. And also it helps if you can explain to the students why you're doing the Muddiest Point, how it will help them as students, how it helps you as an instructor. Also great if you can inform your students how you will use the information. Adult learners appreciate knowing that what they're doing is valuable. You will also need to provide index cards or paper for students to write on. When students are finished answering the question that you have posed, you'll need to collect the cards. You can do this in person. You can create or have your students create a Muddiest Point box and have them drop their cards in there. And then after you've collected and looked over your data, you are going to want to respond to the feedback in a timely manner. The question then that the Muddiest Point poses is one like this. What is the muddiest point in this session, lecture, or class for you? In other words, what is the least clear? The context for this Muddiest Point classroom assessment technique is that it's best used for large lower division classes. However, Muddiest Point can be used in many different types of classes. The question that you pose for your students should be done at the end of the lecture, discussion, a reading assignment, or a presentation. You can use the Muddiest Point frequently if there's a lot of information presented in your course or class. You can use it less often if the course emphasis is on integrating, synthesizing, or evaluating information. There are always limitations and advantages to almost anything we do, as well as with the Muddiest Point. Some limitations are that it requires higher order thinking and can be a struggle for some students who find it difficult to articulate or explain things that they feel or don't understand. This technique also focuses on what is not understood in a course, so it looks at the negative aspect of your class or your lesson instead of the positive side. Adept students who easily can articulate how they think or what they're feeling can raise difficult questions. These students also may be students who have participated in Muddiest Point before and really know how to ask difficult questions that may not be able to be answered on the spot. Also, one limitation with the Muddiest Point is it can be upsetting for an instructor to discover that their best prepared work has been misunderstood by some of their students. The advantages, on the other hand, is that it requires little preparation, little sorting time and gathering of information. Responses by students are normally short, 1 or 2 words, perhaps a phrase. And for those who are hesitant to participate, the fact that it's anonymous works well for them. The information provides a quick diagnosis of difficulties early on in any course or lesson. The instructor can see their own material through the student's eyes and see what the learner's perspective is about what they're learning. This Muddiest Point classroom assessment technique promotes listening, self-assessment, introspection, and increases study habits and questioning by the students. It also reveals exactly where they're at and not where an instructor thinks they're at. The muddiest point can be adapted. Homework or out-of-class reading can be the best way to do a muddiest point for your class. Or you could have students read each other's drafts of homework assignments and name a muddiest point. You could also, at each class meeting after the muddiest point has taken place, you could have a few students categorize and summarize the data and present it to the class the next day, and a discussion would follow. You also could let students know that the muddiest points that have been reviewed may be on an exam. Some best practices to follow. Be clear about the time that you're providing students to answer the question that you've posed. Allow them 5 to 10 minutes. Advise how long the feedback may take. Adult learners like to know when they're going to hear back from you. Will it be the next session? Will it take longer? Also, let students know that not everything can and will be addressed. Explain to the students how to best answer the question. If a student just answers by saying, "I didn't get it," that type of feedback will not help. So be clear and explain to students how best to answer the question. For example, I did not understand this certain concept. I did not understand that certain idea. Avoid overuse with the muddiest point, since the focus is on the negative aspect of what was not understood. Specify a quiet time when students are trying to answer the question, and have students remain seated until everyone's finished to avoid distraction. Sometimes it's possible for an instructor to feel angry or disappointed if students are confused over topics that they believe they have taught clearly. Don't respond if you are angry or upset. Take a deep breath and wait. Try not to spend too much time reviewing the muddiest points so that your course loses its momentum. Be clear that not all muddy points can be cleared up quickly. Some may take more time to reflect and more time to read, more time to research. Providing feedback for students is very important. Feedback needs to come in the next session if possible. If it is not possible, be clear to students about when you think you will be able to provide that feedback for them. Feedback can be addressed through a discussion. The feedback that they will receive from you could also be presented in a handout. A short review of what we've discussed on this video. The muddiest point classroom assessment technique is a simple formative assessment for learning classroom technique. It has high information return, but a low time and energy input. Accentuate the advantages, but make sure you respect the limitations. Practice the best practices. Provide feedback in a timely manner. I hope this informative classroom assessment technique video has helped clear the muddy areas for you. Thank you for watching. Please check out these links and references for further help and information regarding classroom assessment techniques.